It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No. We're gonna watch and listen.
Well, good evening, everybody. This is Grizzly on the hunt with Barb. Hello, Barb.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are
Yeah.
you? You're doing good?
Got a new co-host with me. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, let's give her a round of applause here. So, Barb, tell us about yourself.
Well, I am just a mom and grandma living in the Pacific Northwest. And
Okay.
hi, Catherine. I started my, I guess you'd say, more in-depth research about Bigfoot and Sasquatch about probably about a year ago. I have activity around my house, and it has started started to ramp up. But that's for another, we'll do it. We'll have to do a show on that. So, and I am the creator of No Drama Bigfoot and Cryptids Facebook page, because I'm just tired of everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people, in the field like to just argue about.
I'm over that. I believe in love.
Yeah,
be
right.
happy.
Yeah.
But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, coast to coast and around the world, we're broadcast live. All the admins and moderators, thank you for broadcasting, letting us broadcast you live in the group. We have a special guest backstage, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Very
we
special.
sure do.
Jerimiah Fountain.
Yeah, Mr. Fountain, man.
Yeah.
Woo. Hey, what's happening, brother?
Hey.
Welcome to the show there. Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Welcome. So how's everything going with you?
I can't complain, except for the piles of snow we still have up here. It's getting kind of ridiculous.
So how much snow do you have?
Oh God, in some spot, there's banks feet high. It's starting to melt a little bit. It was nice today, but tomorrow we're supposed to get more sleet, more snow. So
wow,
just lovely. I just can't wait till it's all gone so I can get boots back on the ground and get back out there in the woods,
Right. So
driving me crazy.
Where are you from? I'm sorry. Where are you from?
I am up in the Adirondacks.
Okay.
It's a very tip top New York State. On the piece of land Stacy and I live on, I could literally walk across the border.
All right.
We're very, very close to Canada. I could literally walk right over the border if I wanted to. Not that I would, but just yeah. So we're pretty close to Canada.
Not that I would. So tell everybody about yourself that don't know you.
Yes, like I said, from 44 years old. I've been in the field about 20 years, give or take. From, like I was telling Barb, from the Adirondacks, very top in New York State. I've been married almost 10 years to a lovely woman, Stacy. She's also a researcher. We live on a 250-acre piece of land. We live in a cabin that has been inhabited by a family group of Sasquatch since my father bought the property 40 years ago.
What state is that?
New York State, right up in the Adirondacks, the Adirondack Park.
Yep, I'm just answering Catherine. Yep.
Yeah, I think when people think of New York, they all think of the city. They don't realize that the Adirondack Park is 6.2 million acres of, pretty much untouched wilderness. But yeah, I've been into this about 20 years. As a child, I always had an infatuation with cryptids. My mother bought me, I don't know if you remember the book or not. It was called Unexplained Mysteries of the 21st Century, or the 20th century. Getting my centuries confused. I was flipping through the pages, and when I saw Patty, I said, "My God, who is that beautiful little lady?" And right from that point, I was hooked. I was hooked. And I grew up in the woods. Hunter, fisherman. Survivalist. I love the woods. It's my solitude, and I love researching. I feel, I feel it's our duty as researchers to help, provide answers, help people out that need help. help people that are dealing with these things in a negative way, as we all know they tend to get sometimes. Not not always, but sometimes, people do need help.
Need help with what? What are you talking about, man?
Well, these things, as far as Dogman and Bigfoot, they sometimes tend to get a little nasty.
Yes.
I've got a perfect example if you want to hear.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
I had a buddy who he bought a house in a place called, inherited a house from his grandmother in Scary, New York, which it is scary. It's a scary place. It's one of the places I researched. And it leads right into the Adirondack Park, and it's very, very desolate. Nothing around. Well, we used to go out to, for a drink or to eat after work. I used to work with him, and he'd bust my chops like something fierce. So, Fountain, you going after your apes tonight? Yeah, and I'd be like, whatever. I just can't wait till someday you have some sort of weird experience happen to you, So one day I get a phone call, and it's him. Jerimiah, hey, could you take a ride out here, please? I said, sure. And in my head, I'm just thinking about the things that could be going on out there. Because we've had a lot of activity in that area. Well, he's wondering why he's got these 7, 8, 9 foot creatures running around his house, throwing boulders, building structures on his lawn, screaming in the windows, licking the windows, leaving handprints on the windows, just crazy stuff. And he hadn't talked to his dad in about 14 years, and they had gotten into a family altercation or whatever. I don't know the details, but I said, we have to go talk to your dad and find out if he knows anything about this. Went and talked to his dad. Turns out his grandmother had been feeding a family of Sasquatch for 30 years. And
No way.
30 years. Yeah. And so they basically got cut off cold turkey, like a drug addict would cold turkey, and they were upset. Yeah. And they were showing him that they were upset, and that's one of the reasons I don't feed. I don't feed them food. I don't think it's fair to them. Number one, in case something did happen to me, they're going to get nasty. Right. So that was the end of his disbelief. We'll put it that way. And
did he say, "Hey, Jeremiah, call off your apes"? Right.
Yeah, pretty much. You're gonna do something, aren't you? You're gonna do something. So I helped him get through it. They're still around, but they don't bother him as much. They they'll knock on the. We go through it too here, but they're the group we have on our property. They're like a bunch of hippies. They're more like the Patty type, whereas the type we deal with more in the St. Lawrence Valley. On the reservation, they're more of like a kind of like a Neanderthal. They're built differently. Their arms aren't as long. They aren't as big. A big male will get about 7.5, 8 feet, which is still massive. Yeah. But we've got one behind the cabin here that's 10'4". That Stacy encountered in 2016. She went for a ride in the 4-wheeler to pick some blueberries, and she found it weird that all the blueberries are gone. And she looked, and 20 feet across the logging road, there's this thing standing there just staring at her. And they stared at each other for a few seconds. It didn't bother her, didn't show any aggression. Turned, walked away, walked under a limb, and it was gone. She said it disappeared. It was just like that. It was gone. So I said, well, take me where you saw this thing. I've been looking for him for years, because I had seen his tracks over the years. He throws out, almost 20-inch tracks. He's a beast. And, she said, that's the branch right there. So I said, take the tape measure, hold on the ground. I sit on top of the seat of the 4-wheeler. I measured to the top the bottom of the limb, and that measured out at 10'6", the bottom of the limb. and she said he only cleared it by probably 2-3 inches.
Wow.
Yeah, he's massive. I haven't seen him, but she has.
So what goes through your mind when you see these things? I mean, I would pass out and have a heart attack.
I'll give you a good example. My second encounter in 2007, it was hunting season. I had my 300 Winchester mag on me, but I wasn't going down to hunt. I was going down to fix my tree stand. But we had a big 12-point buck running around, and it was starting to get a little darker out. I didn't have much time, so I said, you know what? I fixed the stand enough for today. Why don't I climb up in the tree stand, see if I can harvest this buck? And I'm just sitting there, and something tells me, something felt weird, like I wasn't supposed to be there. And I heard an ungodly roar, almost like between a yell and a howl, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And the goosebumps stood up on my arms. Yeah. And so I climbed out of the tree stand, and I said to myself, it's time to get out of here, So to get back to the logging road, where, to walk, it's a couple mile walk back to where we didn't have our cabin up then. We were living off the grid, like I said before, and I get to to get to the logging road, there's a spring, a natural artesian spring, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I think that's one of the things that attracts them there, is that fresh water, So I look, and about 5 feet in the water, I see what looks like a tree. And I started thinking to myself, that's a bit bizarre. There wasn't a tree there when I walked in. Did someone come down here with a machine and put it in the pond while I was in the tree stand? I didn't know what to think. I was kind of in shock. So until the tree turned its hips and looked at me. She looked at me.
No,
it was a female.
No.
Wow.
Very large female. The water's about, where she was standing, it was about a foot deep, and it came up to probably a few inches below her knee. All right. Which would have made her, in the high 7s, maybe even closer to 8 feet, which is a big female. That's a very big female.
Yeah.
She had a very auburnish brown color, no hair on the face. The head was not conical. It was kind of a mix in between a conical head and a rounder head. They have breasts, but they didn't sag way down like Patty's in the video. I don't know if she was younger and hadn't bred yet, or they just didn't sag. It's reality. So the hair all over her body was probably 4 to 6 inches, I would say. And you know how you hear about, especially down south, you hear about the mange, how they get mangy and clumpy. And I didn't see any of that in her, any of it.
Yeah.
It was a very smooth coat, almost like she just went to the salon and got her hair done. It was very, very smooth. And it made me wonder, do these things up here, up this far north, do they bring in a winter coat?
Oh,
And
yeah, good point.
maybe that was the winter coat coming in. That's why it was so smooth. And I will say, it's not fur. It's hair. A lot of people think they have fur, but it's not. It's hair. It's total hair. Very long, extremely long arms, hands twice the size of mine. And she's looking at me, and the mouth on this thing was just ginormous. Now this is an exaggeration when I say this, but her mouth was so wide, it looked like the mouth went ear to ear. When I'm standing there in shock, and I'm looking at this, and that's all I could picture was her opening her mouth like a Pez dispenser and biting my head off.
I've heard of that before, and exactly what you said, like a Pez dispenser.
Like a Pez dispenser.
Had said, I'm trying to think who it was. Maybe it was Bigfoot Michigan Rob, maybe, I don't know, but he said too that when he saw it, it was that big mouth. It just went like, wow. Yeah,
it was Rob, because we joked about that when I was on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard
So,
that.
yeah, no, the mouth is just ungodly wide. I did not see any ears at all. Didn't see any ears, but the eyes, they were massive, all black. They must have been, I would say, 4 inches apart, 5 inches apart. Very flat nose, very, very pronounced nostrils. And here's the weird thing, and I've been dabbling over this for years. She did something. She's looking straight in my eyes, and she did something that to this day I will never forget. You know when a shark bites onto its prey and that shield comes up over its eyes to protect its eyes? She had, all I can say is it was some type of membrane. It wasn't an eyelid, but it came from the bottom. And she flickered this up and down about 5 and 6 times.
Wow.
And I've only heard of one other case where someone has witnessed that, and that was with a dogman, not a Sasquatch.
Oh.
So I don't know what it was, but she did it.
Wow.
She did it. It came from the bottom to the top, back down to back to the top. So then I see her turn her eyes, and I had my rifle over my shoulder, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And she looked, and I could see her looking at the barrel of the rifle. And at that point, I said, "That's it."
Yeah.
You know, I'm dead. You know, but I don't know if it was. People have asked me this. I don't know if it was mind speak or not. But in my head, the way she was looking at me, okay, was like, if you. It's like the movie Tombstone where he says, "You gonna skin that smoke wagon or just stand there?" You know, that's kind of how she was looking at me. And like, if you try to pull it off your shoulder, I will get to you first. If you don't pull it, we won't have any problems at all. So, needless to say, even if I had wanted to, guys, I would not have been able to get that rifle. I'm not pro kill. But, you know, I would have defended myself if I had to. I would have tried.
No,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
I would have tried, but I would not have been able to get that rifle off my shoulder fast enough before she got to me. We were only about 30, 40 feet away from each other.
Wow.
I mean, what was going through your mind when you was witnessing this?
I was just in shock. Just total shock. I lost control of the function, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to hold that back. It's nothing to be I'm ashamed of.
No.
I was in total shock, and I knew deep down. Even though I was in shock, I knew what I was looking at because I had an encounter before that with a juvenile. But this was totally different because she was just gigantic, just enormous. So I think once she realized that I was not a threat, she took one hop up onto the bank, which I told you she was about 5 feet off the shore, off the bank in the water, and she took 3 leaps, and she went 21 feet in 3 leaps.
Wow!
I know that because I brought back 4 buddies the next day, and we went and we could see the scuff marks where she had took those leaps. I mean, that's incredible.
That is
63 feet, and that goes to show the athleticism and the strength and the abilities. I mean, and for something I forgot to mention, the most impressive parts about her was her buttocks. Okay, her buttocks, her quadriceps. So I can see where that power would generate from to take those leaps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as far as back to front, not counting the breasts that were there, back to front, I would say she had to be 2.5 feet thick.
Wow.
Wow, man.
Just amazing.
That's incredible.
Just massive. And that's when I think, after I didn't pull that rifle, I think that's when they started to realize they could trust me. You know, so we haven't had any problems with them since. We've had I had one issue one night. I went down before we were living there. And I went down at about 1 a.m. with a buddy, and we interrupted a hunt, and they flanked us, and I'll put it this way, they politely escorted us out. We had one on each side of us, one behind us. The two on the side, you could see them moving through the brush, snapping branches with their hands as they were walking. And the one in the back was way back, but he was tailing us nevertheless. And they walked us just about all the way to the truck. That's the only other issue. That's the only issue I've had with this group down behind the cabin. Now, I have had other experiences where in other spots where I've had boulders thrown at me, and I'm not talking about stones. I'm talking about, 40-pound boulders coming from 80 feet across a river.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of power.
A lot of power. It would hit, and I could hear it hit the stones that were already in the water, and it was right by my feet. And then I had that particular time, I had one come from the left after that, and then one come from the right. So I said, okay, that's their way of telling me I'm not wanted here tonight.
Jeremiah, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
When you're saying that, are you actually, can you see them when they're walking? When they were flanking you and when they're walking?
Oh yeah, we could see their silhouettes, and
okay.
We can see just the silhouettes. Yep, we could see their arms moving, breaking the branches, because it was a full moon.
Okay,
it was a full moon, which makes even more, which makes it even more interesting.
That, wouldn't you? Yeah, you would have to say that, Mr. Fountain. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Full moon.
Wow. I had a question about, so the female, you said she was auburn, right? Is that what you said? Like her whole body, her hair?
Yeah.
What color was her skin?
It was like a lighter brown.
Okay.
The skin on her face, like a brownish. Yeah, like a tan.
Okay.
A tan, like a tannish. Yeah.
So, do you think it's one clan that's living in your area?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Now the thing with them is they take off in November and they come back in April. But when they leave, the others come in. Wow. The dogmen come in.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if they're intimidated by the Sasquatches or what, but they leave. When the Sasquatches leave, the dogmen come in, and before the Sasquatches are even back, the dogmen take off.
Oh, okay.
And we have had some issues with the dogmen, being really aggressive around the house, pounding on the walls. There was a black one that kept sticking his face to my bedroom window. Did it 4 or 5 times. So finally, I'd only been in dogman research about 4 years by this point. And I'm like, what am I going to do if this thing tries to enter the home and does something, So I called Nick, Valente, and I said, Nick, what do I do? What do I do? He said, well, he goes, I'm going to tell you something. They hate lasers. We found over the years, it hurts them for some reason. They don't like lasers. Take your assault rifle, take that laser, point it right between his eyes next time he puts his face to that window. Okay. And next time he did, I grabbed it, I turned on that laser, and I put it right between his eyeballs, and he let out the most blood-curdling scream, turned around, ran back into the thicket.
Wow.
But that was very scary.
When did that happen?
Extremely scary.
When was that?
That happened two winters ago.
Oh, wow. And was that your first aggressive encounter or with dogmen?
With the dogmen?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is that when
had
they been on your property before that? Do you know? Dogmen, were they ever on your property?
Oh yeah. We did see another. We saw one before that, actually. We were on my way back. We went to my parents for dinner, and they live a few miles from us. We were on our way back. It was about 12 a.m. My mother likes to talk, and when she gets a few in her, and She likes to
I
talk,
am
so
not
she
gonna
kept us
say
there a while,
anything.
and so I'm like, Stacy, it's time to go, honey. We got to get going, you know. And mind you, this was right around the time the Sasquatches were leaving and the Dogmen were coming in.
Wow.
So this is interesting. We were going down our road, getting ready to turn into our property, okay? And there's another property across the road, which is owned by someone else. And that part has always given me the creeps. I've never walked in there in my life, and I never will. Well, I said, Stacy, slow down. You're going to hit that guy. And she tends to have a lead foot. So she said, what are you talking about, Jay? What guy? I'm like, that one right there. And she goes, oh, my God. And she stopped, and we both looked, and leaning up against a tree with a real smug, arrogant look on its face was this Dogman.
Whoa.
With bright, amberish eyes. It almost projected like a flashlight.
Whoa.
And it's hopped out in the middle of the road, turned its whole body, looked at us, so you see the saliva coming from its mouth.
Oh.
Yeah,
What
it
color
was horrible.
It was black?
And then
So it was black. It was black, all black.
yeah, this one was black.
Okay.
Yeah, we could see the saliva, you could see the canines,
Oh my gosh,
ears. All I could think of was an upright, looked just like an upright German Shepherd. But here's the weird thing, and I've talked to Nick about this over the years. This thing did not have the reverse haunches like a dog. It had legs like ours or a Sasquatch, which I had never heard of before.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So it crossed onto our property. Go ahead, Chris.
Did Nick think it was the skinwalker? No, I was just going to ask.
Oh.
Nick and Daryl have mentioned to me that they call it a wolf creature.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And so which I had never heard the term before, but that's what crossed onto our land that night. Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's terrifying. But here's the interesting thing. Now, it was a couple days before that Stacy had seen that big alpha male, and we're in the camper sleeping, and all of a sudden we hear and feel a boom. The whole camper rocked like it was going to tip, almost to the point where it was going to tip over.
Wow.
And she said, what is that? I'm going out there to check this out. I said, no, you're not. You're not going out there.
Right.
And so the next day we go out and it looked like Hiroshima. There was trees knocked down, tracks all over the place. I personally think that big alpha male Sasquatch wanted that thing off our property. And I think he gave it to him, and he said never, gave him the boot in the butt and said never come back.
Wow.
Because this Dogman is probably 7.5 feet, and it's you got a 2,000 pound 10.5 foot Sasquatch. I'm going to put my money on the Squatch every time.
Right. Yeah,
without a doubt.
Yeah. Oh man.
Too much power, too much size. Yeah.
Do you think that was
so? I think that's what happened.
Okay. Do you think that was that Dogman, the same one? That with all the incidents, looking in your window, standing on the side of the road.
I think so.
It's the same one. Okay.
Yeah, it looked just like it. It looked just like him.
Okay.
It looked just like him. But I did run into another one down there that I do have a picture of, and I will send you both if you want. I can send you the picture after we get off the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now this Dogman was built totally different. All right. Very, very, very long arms. Now I took the picture from about 100 feet away, so the resolution isn't the best, but you can tell what it is. It's grayish in color, and wrapped around its arms is a deer with the belly sliced wide open with its bowels on the ground.
Oh, wow.
And it's just sitting there holding it, staring me in the eyeballs. Just sitting there staring at me.
Yeah. I think I've seen this picture. You've posted that before, right? Right, Jay? Have you posted it before?
Oh, a long time. Yeah, a few months ago. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's that.
Yeah. I'll send it to you again, though, so you can get a good look at it.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world do you sleep at night?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it sometimes it's tough when they're banging on the, you know, we get woken up with them banging on the side of the cabin. You know, it's not so much the Sasquatch, because like I said, this group we have, they're like a bunch of hippies. You know, they're in my opinion, they aren't going to bother us, but it's those other things that I don't like. They give me the creeps, and you know, and it's the juvenile Sasquatches that like to mess around. They'll climb the tree, jump from the tree onto our roof, and bounce up and down. And you know, they left us a weasel one day on our front porch, and a dead weasel, and they just like to mess around. They'll stand when we're outside having a bonfire. The juveniles will, you know, a juvenile or two juveniles will stand there and they'll watch us, and we'll talk to them. And then as soon as we start talking to them, they'll go back behind the tree.
Oh,
but when we shut our mouth, they come back out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
We're not spending the night at his house. Sorry.
I know.
Nope. You know what? I'll tell you right now,
dog
ladies and gentlemen, I carry a bunch of this stuff right here with me, okay? And I actually put that on my ammunition, and I actually do carry silver bullets. So make fun of me as you will.
Nothing. No, I'm not. I'm the last one to make fun of it. I in my pack, I carry a lot of things that people would consider very, very strange, because you do not know if there's Sasquatch out there, and there's dogmen and reptilians, you know, what other things. You don't know what you're dealing with, and you don't know what's going to protect you against them.
Right. Yeah.
So some of these things that some of us carry in our packs, people are going to think is ridiculous, but it's really not. I know. Because it could save you.
Being fully prepared.
You know,
fully prepared.
You got to be. You got to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
you got to be totally prepared.
My thing is, ladies and gentlemen, you go ahead and laugh, Brenda. I got my sippy cup, by the way. Go ahead and laugh, Brenda. But let me tell you something. You and me standing side by side, and I got those silver bullets with holy water, and that's been blessed, and they work, and yours doesn't. You know, forgive me. I'm gone while you're standing there trying to, you know, take care of business. Well, mine's being dropped to the ground. Now I'm a pro. I'm a no kill either.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, these things are creatures, and any wild animal, you know, you do not know what they can do or what they can turn to. He said reptilians.
Yeah.
And we're actually, ladies and gentlemen, getting more and more reports of that.
Yes.
Out in public.
I have a video of one I took in North Carolina. I'll send you that after the video, after we're done.
Yeah, Brenda says no sleepovers.
Yeah, that's what I figured. She was laughing probably at that. Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, Brenda cannot run.
Yeah.
None of us can run that leg. Well, she's got one leg, so she couldn't run. So she'll be the one that would take it for the team. So just trip her up and we're gone.
Right.
Sorry, Brenda. Sorry. You know. Yeah. Thanks, Brenda.
Yeah, we were in North Carolina. We were living there for a couple of years, and we had a very active spot there too. We had a really I had my 19-year-old daughter and a friend. She had a friend with her, and she likes to go squatching with Dad, you know. And we're sitting there under this old train trestle, and we see out of the bayou, we see different colored. When people say they can't, when people say you need a light to get eye shine back, that is not the case. Because I have witnessed it firsthand. They can do it at will. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. I've seen it, and I'm sure you have too, Barb.
I haven't, but my daughter actually has, and and I've heard of it. Yeah, heard it.
I've actually heard and so that they could self-illuminate themselves.
Yes,
absolutely. We were seeing green, blue.
There's animals that can do, you know,
Sure.
confirm that we know animals that have that ability. So why wouldn't they be able to? We don't even
Absolutely.
know what they. So anyway, but go ahead. Yeah, I didn't mean to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we were seeing, different color. We could hear them walking through the water. And there was 5 different sets of eyeballs. Some were blue, fluorescent green, amber, and there was red. All of them shut off except for, and here I am. I'm telling my daughter to be quiet and not make any noise. And here I am on the phone texting one of my research partners. I'm looking straight down, and I hear my daughter and her friend let out a blood curdling scream, and I'm like, "Good God, Andrea, you got to be quiet, for crying out loud." She just points, and walking up the hill on the other side of the trestle is this. And I lit it right up. I lit it up with a light, and it was a big gray Sasquatch, a gray one, and it looked this was down south, and it looked totally different than what I deal with up here. It looked more. It was smaller, but it seemed stockier, if that makes sense. The vegetation that it was walking through going up the hill was at about 5 feet. And it stood about 2.5 feet over the vegetation, which would put it at about 7.5 feet. He didn't pay us any mind at all. He just walked up the hill and went his own way.
No. The first scream, I would have been gone. I'm sorry. I'm not sticking.
Well, that was my daughter. That was my daughter screaming.
Still, I would have been gone. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to stand there with the flashlight to figure out what she's screaming at, or if she's pointing. If she's pointing, I'm not going in that direction.
Oh, I knew when she let out that. I knew she was seeing something. I knew it, and I threw that phone down. And I grabbed my hip, ready to rock and roll, and I didn't know what was going on until I saw him start walking. She saw the full frontal view of him coming out of the bayou, know. Whereas by the time I got a good look at him, he was walking. I saw the side of him, and his thickness.
A trail of pee left behind her as she was running.
Yeah. I agree, Brendan.
Well, then you do that, they might look at you as an option with all those hormones in the urine.
Yeah, right.
I actually worked a case where that happened with a lady. She was harassed by a bunch of. Her and her fiance would build bonfires at night, and they would build the fire away from their house, and they were too. I don't want to say lazy because that's rude, but lack of a better term. They would go in a bucket and they would throw it all over the vegetation.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, exactly. So this brown Sasquatch, who she was always terrified of, would come out every night and just stare her down, even if she was inside, outside, whatever. And I said, he's starting to look at you as an option, which I truly believe. With all the pheromones and the smell of the female urine, so I told her, I said, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's been proven in history with the Indians that these creatures have taken women, right?
Yes.
And made it with them and taken their children. Now, not only that, and I'm not trying to get graphic or nasty, but lady, if it's that time of the month, do not go out in the woods. Just trust me, okay?
Right.
Deer hunters will tell you that.
Right.
And men, when you're out there, Sasquatching or deer hunting, you know what bucks do. They mark their territory. So
absolutely.
If you're gonna go 10-100, that means tinkle tinkle. Okay. 10-200 means number 2. And then you gotta go 10-400. That means you're doing everything at once. So just let it all out. So,
the double dragon.
I'm like, whoa, man, but and I mean, there's been more encounters that I've known that people's actually been away from the campsite using the bathroom, and they're like, and this is what they're saying. What are you doing, boy? And they're like, you know, and it's just like nobody's around, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's just like, you know, it's just incredible. And I tell people, you know, if you go to the bathroom, do not go alone. Always go in pairs, right?
Yes,
I always have extra walkie-talkies. We'll always go in groups and so forth. But yeah, I mean, because you don't know. And ladies and gentlemen, everybody thinks they're warm and fuzzy and stuff.
No.
You know, and I see people out there like, yeah, I want an apple. You come get it, baby. Come here, honey. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the frig? What is your problem? Do you want a hand feed these things? I'm like, you're nuts.
They don't want to sit around the fire and smoke a doobie and sing Kumbaya with you. Then that's all there is to it. You know, they don't.
It reminds me of that guy on Facebook. It says, hold my beer, and he's swimming with the dolphins, and he's actually on the back of a crocodile, right? That's what it reminds me of. Yeah. Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. So, you know,
and there's different types of these things too.
Yeah.
Some are a lot more. Some are very dangerous.
You know, Catherine says, "Wow, that's weird with the eyes." You know, Catherine, Brenda, and everybody, and Adams. You know, let me ask you something. You're out in the middle of the wild, okay? You're out there in the jungle. Let's just say the jungle, and you see this big bad lion. You know, the big boy. You know, the king of them all. You gonna walk over and pet that thing? Oh, heck no, you're not. You're gonna say, screw you, I'm out of here. You're not gonna stick around. Yeah.
Nope.
And why are you gonna try to go over there and feed the damn things? That's what kills me.
Exactly. To me, that's it's first of all, like I said before, I think it's unfair to them, for one. Number two, it's dangerous for the person doing the feeding. I've never, ever, not once in my life, fed any Sasquatch. Never. And I never will.
Yeah.
Nope. Yep. Nope. No way. There's too much risk involved in it. And I don't think people take that into consideration. Those things, the risks, you know, the risks that involved in feeding these things.
But they they don't hurt me. They love me.
But
you know, oh yes.
But there's been a lot of, you know, documented cases that that we all are probably, I mean, you know, three of people that are into this are aware of that. You know, the food gifting goes bad, really bad. Like your situation with, you know, with people feeding at your property, and then, or was that your friend? That your friend, right? Yeah. That you said about gifting at the property.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. And then,
his grandmother. Yes.
That's right. Okay. Right. Food source, you know, has to leave the property, dies, whatever. And then they're left with, well, they're used to this now. This is their food source. And what's going on? And so, it's,
But, you know,
and what happens, you know, there's, you know, go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead. I'm just amazed what people do.
Okay. And you know, I have I'm part Mohawk. I have Mohawk, a lot of Mohawk relatives, and they'll tell you never feed these things. And they tell. I've heard stories from my uncles that, you know, if there is a hard winter where they can't find any game, they had, back in the olden days, they were known to feed on people.
That is correct, ladies and gentlemen.
What are you got to do? You know, hey, makes sense.
One try to eat you. I mean, what are you gonna do? You know, you're not gonna fight back. You're gonna try, but you're not gonna succeed.
No, you're not going to have the chance.
It's probably that one's like, watch this. See that human over there? I'm going to let it pet me. Then I'm going to,
you
know?
Exactly.
Look how cute I am.
I know, you know, and it probably would even purr or something, mimic a cat, you know, it makes all the other noises.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, no offense, ladies and gentlemen, that's watching, but, you know, I say this all the time on all my shows. You know, you don't know what you're dealing with. You know, I mean, you hear people say things, but go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. We don't know what we're dealing with.
Right.
You know,
Brenda
we just
once
don't.
wanted to touch her. Brenda says, "Touch me."
Yeah.
What's that song? Touch me, feel me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, Brenda. Yeah.
I got a buddy that had his leg
head.
grabbed. He was sleeping
Your
in a tent.
hands on me. Lay your hands on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, it's okay. I had a buddy that was he works in area where there's 26 of these things. A family group of, I don't know if it's one family group. I think it might be a few separated, but there's 26 of them. Okay. He's sleeping out in his tent one night, had the zipper open. Okay. This is in Arkansas. Okay. And all of a sudden he felt a huge hand wrap around his calf and squeeze. And then it let go and he could hear it take off. And he said, exactly, I will never, ever sleep in the woods again.
Yeah. I'd have had a machine gun just let
He'll never sleep in the woods again.
Yeah.
I had one guy I interviewed. He was actually in the park. And I'm trying to do this without laughing because when he told me, I fell out of my chair. One sat on his hand. And it was the butt of Sasquatch.
Oh.
And he was like, Grizzly, this was a big butt. And it was big. And the hand was stuck. He's like, I pulled out my knife. I was going to jab it. And I thought, no, I can't jab it. And it's just sitting there and it's mumbling. And it would move. And I'm going to go. And I know what he was doing. He's like, it was awful. It was awful. And then my daughter woke up. And I was like,
I bet.
Shh.
Oh my gosh.
And he would lean back, and he would move, and I'd try to move my hand, and he would just move back a little further, and he was like he was scratching himself. And I was dying. I lost it. I'm like, man, you
oh my God.
Right? You are literally punking me out. This did not. Yeah, I would be gone too. Yeah, Brenda's like, no. Man, this is a true story. This guy's an honest guy. And he was like, I'm the only one probably in the world that ever felt a Sasquatch booty. And I'm just saying, oh my God.
Probably guaranteed. Guaranteed.
So,
and you imagine that weight, all that weight in your hand. I mean, I think people underestimate the weight of these things as it is. You know,
what he compared it to was even worse.
Oh no.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it just hit me out of nowhere, you know.
Oh.
So,
did it come in his tent?
No, it's set on the edge of the tent. You know how you stake your tent out?
Yeah.
And you know, when he sat down, he sat on the tent and his hand was laid out like this.
Oh no.
Stretched out, sleeping.
Oh my God.
And he sat on it. And when he did, he was like, huh? And then he sat all the way down on it. He's like, whoa. And then when he passed gas, you know, when he passed gas and everything, he was like, and the daughter was like, he's like,
yeah.
And they could see because the fire was still going, but not that bright, but they could see the silhouette.
Oh.
And that's why he said he was going to jab it at first because he thought it was a drum.
Yep.
And he said, once it rocked back and sat down, he was like, oh, no, this can't be happening. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something.
Oh, my God.
Little Johnny out there in a monkey suit, drunk, causing havoc in hell in the forest. Don't get me wrong, that happens. But when a guy literally cries when he's telling you the story, and it really happened when let me tell you something, he almost vomited. That's how bad it was when he said when it and moaned and whatever you saw and didn't lift it. I mean, he lifted up. I mean, what else? Yeah. Yes, Brenda. He did farted. I'm sorry. I didn't want to say that. So. Yeah, but yeah.
Thanks, Brenda.
Yeah, right. So unbelievable. So he said he should.
That's unreal.
Book records. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I would have missed my pants. I would have passed out.
That would be terrifying, you know.
No,
that would be
these
horrible.
creatures around you now I mean, do you just walk out and they just like see you and like, oh, well, it's just Mr. Fountain, you know, just
if they're
goes on your way.
If Stacy and I go back there, you know, if we go back, they know when we're back there. They know, and we'll catch him peeking behind a tree, or we've got one we call Blackie, and we've been familiar with him since he was, for about, a long time now. Right before we got, married, we were in the dating process, and, we got familiar with him, and he was young then. Now he's almost 8 feet tall, and I have a picture. I'll send you this picture too. I took a picture from my bedroom window of him standing there, looking at the cabin.
Wow!
Just standing there. He's harmless. You look at the hands and you can tell it's not a human hand. Mm-hmm. And the branch that goes across his face, we did measure it out at like 8 even. So he's put on some size since he's a little guy. But he's pitch black, midnight black, and he's built more like a basketball player, like a lean basketball player.
Okay. Mm-hmm. How old do you think he is?
So yeah.
How old do you think he is, Jay?
I would say equivalent to like a teenager.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Like a 17-year-old maybe.
Yeah. But you just walk around and you're not worried. You're not scared.
Not of the Sasquatch, no.
That's crazy. I wouldn't walk with you.
No.
If I saw something peek around a tree, I'd be and that'd be it. I'll fall and collapse and just
now. Okay, if I'm in another one of my research areas that I go to, some of these areas I can feel the tension in the air. They're very aggressive groups, and in those cases, yeah, I've got the fear cap on. I'm not gonna lie. Because if these things decide to turn on you, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? But the ones behind the cabin, no. I don't worry about it. No.
So you said they leave. What do you think they what makes them migrate out of your area?
Barb, I don't know if they so much migrate, but we do have the Adirondacks have a lot of cave systems. Mm-hmm. So I thought about it for years. Trying to put my finger on where they go or what they do. Maybe they go underground. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's a very good question. Very good question. Maybe they go further down New York State where it's warmer than it is up here. We get winters that hit 40 below up here. Mm-hmm.
And all the snow, right? So
and all the snow, yeah. So maybe they go somewhere in southern New York.
Yeah.
Like
and then,
like
I have heard that they will meet up with other clans, so you can have a continuous, like breeding population, but without having, the problems with inbreeding that you would with.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I have a gentleman who I've had on my show several times. He's an ex-law enforcement officer. Now he has a family group as well. And he lives on a farm. He's a farmer now after he retired. He owns an 80-acre piece of property, and he has a clan also. He's got 7 of them. Now, like I said, he's about 15 miles away. Now he sent me a picture one time that he caught on trail cam, and there's 2 Sasquatches. There's one in the front, a brown, burnished brown. And then behind it is a red juvenile. Now we don't have a red juvenile on our property.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. See what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Maybe 15 miles is nothing for these things.
Oh no.
Daily.
Right.
So maybe my group is interbreeding. Not interbreeding, but breeding with his group.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You just never know. Mm-hmm. You don't know. We've talked about that several times, and he seems to he agrees with me that's a very good theory. Yeah,
unbelievable.
So
I've heard that. There's a guy that had been telling me that was explaining that to me, and he said that that they'll really come from large parts of the country. Like they were thinking, so out here in the Pacific Northwest, they were thinking that they maybe came from as far as like Montana, maybe a little further, further east. No one knows for sure. And then they'll meet up at various spots. Like even from Canada would come down. He was thinking that maybe in the Olympic Mountains would be a good in our area, and and then
Sure.
they go back out to the areas where they live. He had said that he thinks that it's the females go back to their families, bring their husbands or whatever, their partners,
sure,
because they supposedly breed for life. So that's what all evidence kind of accounts have said. And then if a male isn't paired up with a female, they're kind of left to their own devices, and
to their own devices.
That kind of cause problems as young males.
Yes,
that,
they do.
Don't have any guidance. So is that what
there was a? It's funny you talk about the distance bar, because years ago, I don't know if you guys were into the field back in like 2013. But there was a white one seen. It was first seen in Pennsylvania, and people saw it in New York. And now, mind you, there aren't many white Sasquatches. It fit the size description. It fit the characteristics, and it was pure white. And it made its way. People saw it in Pennsylvania. They saw it in New York State. They saw it in Vermont, and I believe they saw it in New Hampshire, in Maine, and all the way up to Maine. So maybe they do go a lot. I don't know for a fact it was the same one, but I'm pretty positive it's probably the same one. Yeah. So it made it all the way to Maine from PA, and who's to say it didn't come further? That might have been just where someone saw it the first time was PA.
Wow. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Fountain, thank you. Hang around backstage for me, if you don't mind. I tell you, that was wild.
Yeah, that was great.
Can you imagine just walking out your back door like, hey, what's up, Bruce? Hey, Mike. Unbelievable.
Wow. Wow.
So,
great.
I would have to wear the male Depend diapers for sure. I probably couldn't even run, especially in my shape with my back, but I just, he's just like nonchalant, we got them, when they move out, the dog men come in, and it's
that scares me. The dog men. Oh no, I don't. Because I guess because of my experiences the last 2 years, Bigfoot doesn't scare me as much as it used to. I have never seen one live, if it's been through my like taking a picture of it, and I'll see the movement, but I've not, not to be able to describe it. And but the dogmen, that just scare me. Woo!
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of night. I got another live show coming up, so stick by. From coast to coast and around the world. I say good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for tuning in. And make sure to like, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Take care.
Good night.
It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No. We're gonna watch and listen. It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
No.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, should we run?
Okay. It's a grizzly.
Are you sure it's not a chipmunk? Action. Nah, get out of here. Action.
It's a grizzly.
I'm out of here.
Huh. Maybe it is a chipmunk. It's a grizzly.
Are we gonna die?
I don't know. We're just going to sit here and listen and watch.
Let's get out of here, maybe.
Fall!